Hey folks, Mike Roberts here for Greg Jourdans ESRT 120 class, heating and refrigeration. Actually just heating. But this is my outside unit for my heat pump system. As you can see, it's got all the wires, the 110 and whatnot come in right here. And you've got your in from the thermostats, which are in the house here, and one plus it divides and goes down to the indoor unit, and then all your wires and hookup. As you can see, this one's got a computer board on it. Needs a little bit of a cleanup, but we'll let it go. And then the rest of it, as you can see, it's pretty complex. I know we haven't done heat pumps yet in class. The whole unit, it's a U-shaped unit out there. The coils run from one side all the way over to here. We've got a dryer built in. This is all factory here. We've got sensors. You can see we've got we've got temperature sensors here, and a temperature sensor here on the bottom of this is the accumulator where the refrigerant goes in there. If it's not completely vaporized, it gives it time to vaporize before it goes back into the compressor. You can see it's a tall compressor. It's a scrolls type compressor, which is more efficient than the hermetically sealed piston type. This one is also hermetically sealed. That's the welding up here at the top. We've got the four-way valve, which we just touched on in class, not just the other day. This is what makes it a heat pump, because it decides which way the coils are being used. In the winter time right now, they're set up for heat pump. So this is actually the evaporator, and it absorbs the heat from the air, takes it inside, and then uses the inside coils as a condenser. That's what this reverses the systems for. You can see right here, try not to pan too fast for you. This is one of the reversing valves that helps along with the capillary tubes and the it has a sensor over here for temperature. Looks like it's a wet bulb one, or the capillary bulb one. So this helps decide whether or not we're getting the refrigerant into the right capillary tube so that we are working it in reverse. There's another one inside that we'll look at a little bit later. So basically, this is my outdoor system. This thing was commissioned in like '93 or earlier. I take that back, '97 and maybe '98. But this is the way it's set. We've only had a couple of minor problems, one of which was this right here. This wire was rubbing on this capillary tube for the sensor, and had to have a guy come out and figure that out because I couldn't at the time. I didn't know any better, so they just taped it and made sure it's not going to move around. You can see this big bundle of snakes down here is a whole bunch of not quite capillary sized tubes, but these things actually run out to the condenser slash evaporator, a little too far pan, and then they pick it up in there's actually 5 different spots that it picks it up. And then this big tube is for the reverse process. It picks it up, the cooling up at like 6 different spots. So it's a pretty complicated system. I can't wait to learn more about it. Then I don't have to call anybody. Oh, you can see it's got several right here. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 different taps for servicing. So luckily they're built in. You don't have to do anything to mess up your system. They can hook them up right there, and it's got these two I reckon are the ones they use mostly because they've got a valve on, or a turn on it. You can turn this open and closed so that you pretty sure you can shut this to put your gauges on and not lose any refrigerant. And they're also probably for some sort of adjustment for the metering blocks here, part of the heat pump system. So yeah, this is pretty complicated stuff, but we're going to learn about it pretty soon. Alright, I'm going to move on to the inside unit, so we'll catch up with you in a minute. Okay, so here we are back inside the inside unit. I've already got the breakers turned off because there's a lot of 220 electrical in there. So let's start pulling off some covers here. As you can see, this was commissioned on November 13th of '99. It's back when I was building my house. There's the upper unit. So we'll get the bottom one off. All right, so there's all the goodies for the up inside. You can see we've got the well, here's our fusibles with the links to them. These are, I think, are automatically resettable. This is just being that it's a heat pump. It's got the heat coils are for the emergency heat if we should need emergency heat in the wintertime, which we do for a couple of weeks. You got your sequencers up here, and your transformer is over here buried behind all these wires. So there's your transformer for your 24 power, which runs all the wires here and upstairs. And then you got a relay way back here in the corner. You can see there's a relay back here. This is for the motor, the fan motor. So that's pretty much all of it. If you're having a problem with your heater on this one, you have to worry about whether you're in E-heat or if you're on the heat pump, and then you just have to come in and check out all your heat tabs in here, troubleshoot with your voltmeter, see which one, if you got one burned out before you try to pull it all out, because you gotta, in order to pull that heater out, you got to pull everything out of the way to get to it. So it's really not too much fun. It was easier to install than it is to take it apart. When we have our fan down here, got schematics for the fan, which, sorry, they're not getting very clear. It's certainly not a ladder diagram, as Zach would want us to draw that, but I'm probably not going to. And there's a capacitor for the start on the motor. And then down here we have all the coils for the cooling. And right now in this mode, because it's winter time, this is your condenser fan. And because it's pulling the heat, the evaporator is outside now. It's pulling the heat from the air and bringing it in here and blowing it off like a condenser would. In the winter time, or I'm sorry, in the summertime, that four-way reversing valve out in the outside unit, it takes and switches things around and makes this the evaporator and the outside one the coil. We have another one of these sensors right here that's a bulb capillary bulb type. And then we have the other reversing valve down here, which just takes and makes sure that we're getting the coolant and stuff into the right pipes at the right time. And we've got another little bundle of snakes here for all the capillaries coming off of things. So this is my unit. Certainly not pretty, but it's very functional, and it gets the job done. And sooner or later, I'm going to learn how to fix it. Alrighty, have a good one. Thanks.